Assalamualaikum and very good morning. So today I will continue with the corporate governance and external auditors. Our learning objectives is for you guys to understand the importance of corporate governance. We need to identify the principal player and understand the concept of corporate governance with the inclusion of external auditor and audit function within the organization, how as external auditor we can assist for better corporate governance practices. Now, I am not going to go through what is the definition of corporate governance, but in a simple word, it means how do the company manage their business, how do they conduct and affairs of the company. So this is the corporate accountability framework. We can see that there are two directions. The red, highlighted by the red color, is the accountability directions from the management. Actually need to report to the board of directors, while the board of directors are responsible to report to the shareholders as well as the stakeholders. While the direction and control is from the board of directors, represented by the audit committee, to the management. Now, these are the principal players of the corporate governance. We can see here there are board of directors, audit committee, regulators, stakeholders. So we can see our position here. External auditor is liaising with the management, while the internal audit will report directly to the audit committee. So internal audit is not reporting to the management, but directly to the audit committee. So these are the principal players. Just now we have board, audit committee, regulator, shareholders, stakeholder, management, internal and external auditors. Ultimately, all the players aim is to make sure that the company is able to have the right balance between conformance and performance. So what is conformance and performance is something that you need to look at, and we are going to discuss in the class. Okay, development of corporate governance in Malaysia. As we know that starting from 1990s, the movement to have a better governance in organization started in Western country, and only in 1994 we decided that the government of Malaysia decided that we need to form a board of audit committee, and that is also part of the requirement in the listing requirement. So we acknowledge the importance of having best practice for corporate governance, and we are making it compulsory now that all listed companies need to be having their own audit committee and any other requirements. I'm sure you have covered this under your CRG 650, so I do not intend to elaborate on this matter further, but we just go through and see where it fits into our subject matter, which is external auditor. So this is what I'm saying just now. KLIC listing requirement. At that time it was KLIC, but now we call it Bursa Malaysia. So it was revamped in January 2001 to enhance corporate governance and transparency, making sure efficient capital market activities, strengthen investor protection, promote investor confidence. Of course, since a lot of companies in Malaysia attracts overseas investors, they are very concerned about the way the organizations in Malaysia are being conducted. So corporate governance, best practice corporate governance is one of the top priority for investors, that they would consider that before they are investing in our country. And then we have the MICG, or Malaysia Institute of Corporate Governance. Best practice of corporate governance have been revised. The latest is 2017. You can refer that. I think you can get that from the internet. We also have the Minority Shareholders Watchdog Group, started from 2000. Okay, these are the concepts in corporate governance. We have 6 concepts: transparency, independence, accountability, responsibility, fairness, and social responsibility. We will go one by one. Transparency here means financial and non-financial information should be easily available. So that means previously not many financial information being disclosed, but because of the best practice of corporate governance, companies have gradually disclosed financial and non-financial information in the annual report for their stakeholders as well as their shareholders. Okay, I think I'm not going to be too detailed on this. I'm going to go to the next slide. So this is an example of Bursa Malaysia's requirement on corporate governance. We still need to have 1/3 to be independent directors. Okay, right of directors, they need to discharge their duties. I'm sure you are aware that directors have to fulfill certain requirements. For example, Management Institute of Malaysia offered many courses for directors to attend, and they have to fulfill certain training hours, which is a good thing, because in 1980s a lot of directors, those selected based on favoritism or nepotism, and they don't have the expertise. So, but nowadays the composition of directors have changed. We have directors from different discipline that will actually bring better performance for the company. Okay, vacation of office. The office of the director became vacant if the director becomes of unsound mind, bankrupt, absent of more than 50% of a director meeting. So in 1 year, at least 50% of the attendees are required. Restriction of directorship, limited up to 25 or 10 in listed company and 15 in other companies. Just now I mentioned about directors training. Okay, audit committee, I have mentioned just now. Okay, on the external auditors, which concern with us, appointment must be made by the shareholders, but usually through the board of directors. Only if the directors are not appointing any, then only CCM or Companies Corporation of Malaysia, Suruhanjaya Syarikat Malaysia will actually intervene and will appoint an external auditor for the company. Removal of external auditor. Okay. Review of statements, as well as right to request for meetings. So these are the things that you need to understand with regards to corporate governance issue. Okay, these are the principles and best practices. We have in terms of leadership, control, leadership, of course, effective board will enhance the competitiveness of the company and shareholders' confidence. So it is important for us to have the right tone of leadership. This is in terms of stewardship. I'm not going to go through all this, but you have to understand each of these. This is only a recap what you have done in CRJ 650. So these are the director's responsibility. And we have audit committees. I mentioned just now, required for all listed companies, all federal statutory bodies, as well as banking and financial institution. So what actually is the main duty of audit committee? Basically, they are to assist board of directors in discharging their duties relating to the company or entity management and internal control, accounting policies and financial reporting, and a line of communication between the board and the auditors. So if it is desirable that one of the audit committee or the board of directors need to be someone who is well versed in accounting or financial management. Okay, this is the reason why audit committee is needed. Due to major fraud strong criticism of the quality of executive management and the effectiveness of board supervision, and financial institutions have to be made necessary action for strengthening accountability and corporate governance so as to provide greater protection for shareholders and the investing and depositing public. That means due to many frauds which happened in previous major large firms has raised issues. This has raised concerns from many government all over the world. Of course, the movement started in the Western country, but in Malaysia, of course, we are concerned as well. So that's why we also follow suit, saying that audit committee is a must. So just now we have this reporting level of audit committee. So if we have many departments in the company, so they will report to managing director, but you can see here that audit committee will stand on its own. Okay, so they will report to the audit committee if they find that there is any wrongdoings or whatever in relation to the internal control system in the company. So this is where we sit in as external auditor. We also report to the audit committee. They will also have risk. A company should have risk management committee as well besides the internal audit. So these are the roles of the audit committee. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, the main function is to assist directors in discharging their statutory duties and responsibility. So you have enough notes here for you to understand what are the duties of and roles of audit committee. So these are the composition of audit committee. Should consist not less than 3 members with a majority of non-executive directors. So this is the requirement set by Securities Commission. And this is interesting. The 5th point, at least one member of the audit committee must be a member of MIA, or even if the person is not a member of MIA, should have at least 3 years working experience. So it is important that for a person to be well versed in financial if they are to take this position. Okay, you can read this. Basically, the committee will meet at least twice during each financial year. So these are the authority and power, the duties. Okay, it is interesting that there are certain issues associated with audit committee. For example, interference in executive decision. And then where they talked about there could be conflict of mistrust and misunderstanding about the committee, management, internal auditors, and to the external auditors. But how can we prevent this? So, audit committee need to have a clear terms and responsibilities, and then communicate between all parties on timely basis and on professional manner. So this is very important. And then secondly, audit committees have no teeth. So this is only claims. Okay, they're saying that audit committee is just being established as a window dressing to comply with Bursa Malaysia listing requirement. But to overcome this, the audit committee of each organization must be seen and must acting independently with authority given to back up their responsibilities. So board of directors need to give full support to the committee, including the financial and administrative resources to carry out the duties. Okay, for the last, then you can read this by yourself, full board distant financial matters, legal liability. And for the last slide, this is our role. First, we have to refer to AI 240. Of course, as auditor, external auditor, we need to communicate any audit matters that we notice throughout our audit of governance interest. We can actually communicate with the audit committee, ensure good internal control, establish measures to detect a misstatement. Again, we need to make sure we have been independent in performance our audit, perform with high quality of audit work and follow the auditing standard. And we try to reduce the expectation gap with our client by communicating, educating, professional development. So